Hello everyone, I just wanted to do a quick verbal disclaimer here as usual before we get into things. Because this video is about my OC content, it means that I will be mentioning some subjects that might be triggering or uncomfortable to some viewers. Content warnings will be up on the screen now. If you're a kid or sensitive to heavier themes in general, then maybe steer clear of this video and others within this series. That being said, let's get into things. Greetings, my fellow degenerates. My name is Rot, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, then hi, hello, howdy-o, nice to have you here with me. This is going to be the 6th, and for now, the final part of my series, POV, I hold you hostage and force you to listen to me ramble about my OCs. If you're new to this series and haven't seen any of the previous parts, don't worry, I will explain. The purpose of this series is to give you all some basic information on each of my OCs in a world I created called Phantasmagoria, also called FANGORIA for short. Before we jump into it, thank you to Bone Inc for becoming a member on Ko-Fi. As always, if you're interested in supporting me by donating or becoming a member, then the link to my Ko-Fi is down in the card link that can be found in the description. If you'd like to order a commission from me, then my terms of service and my comm sheet with all of my prices on it can be found on the commission terms page of my card down below as well. As a little bit of a reminder to anyone that may be interested, I have a Fangoria Toy House world that you can join if you have a Toy House account and you're interested in making fan characters or Fangoria AUs. There have already been a couple of sick-ass fan characters submitted through there and elsewhere, so I'd love to see what else people would be interested in creating based on my world. If or when you join, make sure to carefully read through the FAQ page that also lists permissions, as well as the list of content warnings. Other than that, go wild to your heart's content. Okay, so on to the subject of today's video. So as I do in every Fangoria video, let me set the stage and introduce my aesthetic for those uninitiated. Hi, hello, my name is Rot, as I mentioned earlier. If you don't know me or my art all that well, I'm primarily a horror artist. I like to take horrifying concepts and dress them up to look cute or aesthetically appealing, and the juxtaposition between the horrific themes of my work against the cute presentation is a major staple of my style. I also have a very dark sense of humor and am the type of person to cope with my own feelings, past, and issues through both my humor and my art. Fangoria is truly the manifestation of all of these things. It's got a very morbid bouquet of themes, a pastel goth presentation, and an undercurrent of dark absurdist humor. I cover a lot of heavier and darker topics and themes in my work and like to over-exaggerate much of the horror and macabre stuff for the sake of comedy. It's all very over-the-top on purpose. I always say that the cast of characters in Fangoria are either terrible, horrible people, or are else victims of terrible, horrible people in some way. The violence and pain the characters all cause, or experience, is both sometimes silly and therapeutic for me to write and conceptualize. Today we'll be briefly discussing a sort of interesting middle ground kind of character who is not necessarily the worst morally, but also not an innocent victim. And this character is Fredrika Stone, adorable Harlequin rabbit and Coke cartel kingpin party queen. Let's first discuss how our homegirl came to be. Freddy's current state is actually very consistent with her first concept. I originally dreamed her up to be a cool crime boss with a southern twang and some superficial charm. The kind of bad bitch that will wrap you around her little finger, but that you're also afraid of. Though most of this is still very much true of her, I decided to take her character in a less manipulative, sexy lady direction and make her charm a little bit more genuine. Her flirtatiousness and smooth approach to interacting with others is less of just a manipulation tactic and more genuine to her character and personality. I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to make her a Harlequin rabbit, which, if you were unaware, is a type of rabbit that has a half and half fur pattern. There are black and white variants and black and red variants, and I decided on the rusty red for her because I think it really suits her personality. I also decided to give her half and half vitiligo because I thought that it would be really eye-catching and pretty, and I was hella right. She's such a cool character design to me. Moving on, I knew from the very beginning that I wanted to make her both shorter and fat, and I'm really glad I went in this direction because it gives so much life to her character. Her cute appearance and round body type give off this element of bubbliness, but she carries this badass air and she's also gorgeous. Like, ooh, she a bad bitch though. I'd fuck the shit out of that rabbit, man. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. I also named her Freddie after the redhead reporter from the Hannibal show because I really like the name Freddie for women. It's got both a tomboyish vibe and a feminine softness that meshes together well and suits her character in my opinion. Her backstory, just like her development, is also relatively simple and straightforward. She grew up in a happy home in Savannah, Georgia, but moved away to California a bit after she turned 18. She found middle-class nuclear family life kind of boring and descended quickly into the organized crime world in pursuit of both money and a more interesting lifestyle. It wasn't too long before she became a well-known drug kingpin, specifically focused mostly on coke, and the leader of a group made up of women. They're actually really just a group of badass ladies dealing drugs, and I love it. In personality, Freddie is one of the most social and outgoing characters I have. She's quite sociable and spends a solid 95% of her time hanging out with friends. She loves things like bumpin' parties, drinks, and loud music, especially dance pop. Though she's damn good at her job and cares a great deal about keeping her organization afloat, her main goal in life is to have fun. Though she doesn't do drugs outside of drinking and smoking, I suppose she could be described as an adrenaline junkie. She's a bit addicted to the thrill that her dangerous and high-stakes lifestyle poses. She can also be described as highly charismatic. Being a social butterfly with a wild personality, it's rare to find someone out there that doesn't like her or at least respect her. All of her partners in crime find her easy to work with, and there's never really been a bad word said about her. Unlike some of my other characters like Vince or Arthur, Freddie's charm and her outgoing nature is not a put-on or an act to manipulate others. She's genuinely just a high-energy and charismatic person to be around. She knows this, and she uses it to her advantage. Though I already touched on it a bit earlier, let me briefly discuss Freddie's species. In Fangoria, the gimmick of the universe is that each of the characters are a different fictional monster species. Freddie is less of a monster and more of a deceivingly cute and innocent-looking rabbit. She doesn't have any particular special abilities, and most of her traits are entirely physical, such as the unique half-and-half vitiligo, the natural rusty red and black hair, and also her large and really round pupils. Now onto the fun part of the video, her relationships with some of the other characters. Starting off with Charlie, Shiloh, and Ophelia, Freddie met them in the underground club scene. Freddie appreciated Charlie and Shiloh for their free spirits and willingness to party, and her relationship with them could most be described as probably party friends. You know, people you go out with and like to party with, but that you don't have much of a relationship with outside of that. After Shiloh got married and started going out less and less, Ophelia eventually showed up and ended up taking their place in the group. Freddie and Ophelia aren't exactly close or anything, and Freddie tends to like her a little bit less than Charlie does. Though as long as Leah's partying, Freddie doesn't really mind her being there and is friendly enough. Moving on to Ratboy and Vincent, Freddie has a much more intense interpersonal relationship with both of them. She initially met Vince through the drug trafficking scene, as he's one of her frequent clients, being a coke addict and all. The two of them hit it off, and Freddie, appreciating his genuine high energy and flamboyant personality, became one of his closest besties. They were friends for a while before Ratboy ended up quite literally falling into their life, but the second that he did, the three formed the Gang, the group of three besties that are gay and do crimes. After a while, Freddie and Ratboy developed a sort of friends with benefits dynamic. Though the two sleep together and care a lot for each other, their relationship really isn't all that romantic. Finally, in relationships of note, there is Arthur. Freddie and Arthur both fucking hate each other. She finds his sudden presence in Vince's life sus as all hell and thinks he's going to use him up and dump him by the wayside. Even beyond that, Arthur's haughty attitude and self-important behavior strikes her as really annoying and distasteful for the most part. The two of them butt heads and shoot each other dirty looks every single time they're in the same room together. It's great. With the relationship dynamics explained, that's the end, the full rundown on Fredrika Stone. If you want to read more specific information about her or to see some more art of her, I will link her TOYHOUSE page down below so that you can check her out. You can also send me an ask on Tumblr if you'd like to know more. I hope you enjoyed learning about her. Oh, and I probably will be starting an ask blog for her pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. With all of that being said, if you enjoyed this video, please rate and subscribe if you feel inclined to do so. You can follow the link to my card in the description if you're interested in following me on other platforms, ordering a comm, and seeing some of my artwork. Thank you all for watching, I hope you have a nice rest of your day, and I will now bid you all adieu.